It's all right to be just a little bit crazy. Being creative is being a little bit crazy in just the right vibration. With that in mind, you should understand God's completely insane.
What we're talking about here.
We don't need a scary FBI warning.
Fucking shadow.
Chicago people. Chicagoans? Is it Chicagoans?
Yes, Chicagoans.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as crazy motherfuckers. This is an educational comedy. Serious points are being made in a politically incorrect way. So, don't take the points so seriously that it hinders your ability to lighten up and laugh, nor is it suggested that you're laughing so much that you completely miss the serious points. Strap in, you're going to be here for a while. Thank you for watching. You want to save the planet? Deal with your fucking shadow. It's the reality of it. The truth of it.
The way that you do that is through integration. What is integration? Integration is releasing judgment of polarity. That you're not judging in any way, shape, or form. You are seeing all things as being equal. And with the mind, it was set up and generated, created, to keep you from remembering that you were a multidimensional being. Because what happened as you started the dissension process is that you remembered that you were multidimensional and kept pulling yourself out of the game. So you created these programs that kept you attached to a polarity. It kept you attached to the negative, to the positive. You created these judgments and beliefs that are illusions. Now, you are never separate from your higher self. You just partition off part of yourself and say, I'm now this personality. You're not separate from source, you're not separate from your higher self, and you're removing these partitions. You are whole and complete as you are. And now you're just erasing the distortions.
Is Newsreel Films presents exciting news. Is the divorce over? Are spirit and science tying the knot once more? Are the church and the laboratory saying the same thing? Out of the misty ages of antiquity, the quest for the divine and the quest for knowledge about the universe marched hand in hand. Ancient Sumer, there was a god of astronomy, a god of horticulture, a god of irrigation, and the temple priests were the scribes and technologists investigating these fields of knowledge. Ancient Greece, philosophers asking the questions of why are we here, developed the theory of the atom, celestial movements, and human ethics. Medieval Europe, the Western Church arose to a position of supreme power, kingmaker, landowner, and purveyor of the truth. The Church took it upon themselves to be the one knower of everything. The dogma was law. Yet science had moved forward and now challenged the dogma that the Earth was the center of the universe. Copernicus, Bruno, and Galileo all felt the heavy hand of the Church. But tragedy. Unable to suppress science anymore, the Church and science divided up knowledge and human endeavor. Descartes invented dualism. The Church had the unseen, science the seen, and materialism was born. An uneasy truce. Scientists were no longer being bound, and they reacted with a vengeance. All the unseen is fantasy, delusion. We are strictly little machines running in a predictable machine universe governed by strict immutable laws. The Church pushed back. Soulless scientists were condemned to hell. Darwin countered. The Creator is nothing, nowhere. We are random mutations, simply a carrier of TNA's relentless quest for more in a meaningless universe. And meanwhile, both science and religion were hitting the wall. If everything was mechanistic and God was the holy creator, then what were we humans supposed to do? Science dug ever deeper into a dead universe and stumbled upon and unlocked a mystery. In tiny corners of space and time, scientists found unfathomable energy and mind-numbing mysteries. Mysteries that suggest we are all connected, that the physical universe is essentially non-physical. Time and space are just constructs of this non-materialness. And today, renegade scientists are meeting with religious leaders. Conferences pushing forward a meeting of science and spirit are springing up. As the 20th century blew open the doors of a mechanistic view, will the 21st century blow down the iron wall between the church and laboratory? This is your Is News Real reporter, signing off.
Modern psychology has a word that is probably used more than any other word in psychology. It is the word maladjusted. It is the ringing cry of modern child psychology, maladjusted. Now, of course, we all want to live the well-adjusted life in order to avoid neurotic and schizophrenic personalities. But as I move toward my conclusion, I would like to say to you today, in a very honest manner, that there are some things in our society and some things in our world for which I'm proud to be maladjusted. And I call upon all men of goodwill to be maladjusted to these things until the good society is realized. I must honestly say to you that I never intend to adjust myself to racial segregation and discrimination. I never intend to adjust myself to religious bigotry. I never intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few, leave millions of God's children smothering in an airtight cage.
So Freud, I hear you have quite a few interesting concepts that I would like you to tell me about.
Well, where do we begin?
Have you ever really asked yourself why you're getting the results you're getting? Why you're not changing the results you're getting?
So we gotta get real with the deal here. What's the real deal? How does this work? How does the awakening really work? It comes down to some nitty-gritty things. That makes sense, right?
So I've always been taught that your emotions are telling you the truth. And yet, what have we been programmed and taught and learned? That your emotions are to be feared?
It doesn't have to be the way people make it out to be. They think that they're stuck in this big revolving cycle and circle, and there's no way to get out of it. That's what society does to you. You feel trapped in society.
If you have too many of them, you need to numb them down.
They prescribe shit.
Let's take a drug.
They prescribe shit.
If let's flatline everybody. If you suffer from depression, instead of getting the emotions rolling, let's suppress them.
They prescribe shit.
Well, if you want to talk concept-wise, one of my favorite concepts would be something I did very early in life. I did a lot of experimentation on. It's a little-known substance known as the cocaine, as the Colombians call it. And it's quite special indeed. It is the bomb, y'all. Save it for later. And you see how the white person takes cocaine is they cut it up into this little line, and then they press on one nostril while sniffing on the other, and maybe the other. And I'll save the rest. It's quite a strange, nice spin if you want to think about it. Yeah.
Now I've been told it's controversial and it doesn't make sense and you're a horrible coke addict, Sigmund Freud. But those people are just jealous because I do it like a boss.
And remember, kids, stay off crack. Do cocaine. It's a cleaner cut. And all the cool kids are doing it. And you want to be cool, right? Sure you do. Don't you?
So Amber here, okay, Amber here is psychotic, okay? We perform lobotomies and shock therapy to Amber. Amber's still crazy. So I decided to talk to Amber like a normal person to hopefully make her problems go away. And when that doesn't work, we feed her loving, tender medication, children. It always solves everything.
They prescribe shit.
Yes, go back to your cell, Amber. And you see, those are just a few concepts we have. But my favorite concept is cocaine. It's the bomb, y'all. Well, you try and make everything I did on cocaine. You can't, because cocaine is new. Anyways.
They prescribe shit.
Another amazing discovery I found was when I was working and doing therapy treatment with people who had psychological problems with them, and a friend of mine suggested the idea that he's been using for a while, which was to sit down and actually talk with the patient. And through all that talking, I've discovered that just possibly even just talking to the patient and loving tender medication,
they prescribe shit,
can solve all of the mental problems. And, seriously, like a pill a day and super expensive therapy treatments.
They prescribe shit.
Make all problems go away. Not to mention the greatest scam ever.
They prescribe shit.
So then you get into a flatline state.
One of the reasons people don't create very comfortably is their imaginations are turned off.
The oneness of our original awareness state is evident when a baby is born. The baby recognizes nothing of its surroundings. As far as a baby is concerned, everything is still oneness. We then start to learn to interpret the stupidity of our brainwashed parents. We then learn a number and language system and become indoctrinated in the seductions of our other senses, and so the reality we call life starts to take shape. We then store a memory bank full of events to recall. Add to this mix the trauma of fear, stress, and anxiety, followed by religious guilt and decades of subliminal and not so subliminal programming. We then become totally hypnotized, and just like sheep, we follow the pack, going through life like mindless zombies. We accept this version of reality, a version we never questioned or chose, but deep inside we know something's not right. We're too gutless to speak out, afraid of being ridiculed by everyone around us, not to mention the constant media bombardment that has brainwashed us and molded our attitudes about everything, until we accept these viewpoints almost without question. But now the time has come, the time to question our true reality. So, get ready. Everything that you think has been real and true will fade away. Get ready to move away from the trance state and reconnect to our original awareness and wisdom state. The freedom and liberty of eternal paradise is ours.
What we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self. This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Our brains take information in and sometimes give it form. It's not that the picture is out there, it's that we're getting data that we're turning into a picture according to our own belief systems and our own unconscious belief systems as well.
We know what is going on is that light comes in through the eyes, hits the back of the retina, triggers electrochemical impulses which travel down nerve fibers to the back of the brain, where the brain very cleverly, in about 1/10 of a second, puts it all together and says, this is what it looks like out there.
Well, you're creating your own reality tunnel. That doesn't mean you're creating reality. Out of reality, whatever that is, out of the infinite flux of energy, you're creating your own reality tunnel, and most people aren't aware of it. Most people aren't aware of it.
All matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration. That we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves.
The human hologram. Humanity itself is an illusory form. The human hologram is made up of the same atoms. When viewed under a microscope, you'll see a mass of energy vibrating. Every part of the body is a smaller version of the whole body, and this is why every cell contains all the information necessary to create an entire human form. Everything we think we see in the three-dimensional realm are simply light particles, energy atoms swirling around at an incredible speed. There is virtually nothing physical in an atom. The swirl of atoms creates such an incredible blur that it is impossible to see through them. Therefore, they appear real and physical, and ultimately the three-dimensional world seems to take on substance or matter. If, however, they were forced to slow down and eventually stop, you would see right through them and into the eternal state, and who we really are would be evident. Now, before we go any further, one of the most important symbols to know and remember is this symbol. Now, don't get bogged down at the mythological reference given. This symbolizes the 3 levels of consciousness, or the 3 main levels of the illusion. This is like a formula for looking at everything in this 3-dimensional universe. There are also sub-levels within these 3 levels themselves. This concept must be understood To comprehend this occult knowledge and understand this documentary as it is explained on different levels of the illusion, sometimes away from mainstream. The reason we need this formula is because we cannot see everything with our limited 5 senses. Even with complex technology, this is still limited. Once again, we view this technology with the same limited senses. Another reason is that we've been disconnected from other realms of reality and cannot see the other frequencies or realms. For example, the human body on one level of the illusion is flesh, blood and bones. Yet on another level, the body is a waveform made from light and chakra points and has waves of auras emanating throughout the body. Another deeper look at the body, which is made up of light atoms, the electrons spinning around quickly to give the illusion of solidarity form. The final level of this is the atoms and molecules themselves are like source codes or matrix codes of information. These atoms can communicate with each other no matter the distance, even light years apart. This is because time and space are an illusion. Now, let's have a look at the human brain. The human brain on one level of the illusion is this mushy sponge, yet on another level, the electric and magnetic firing of the neurons in the brain. Now, the third level of the illusion is the liquid crystal prism of our brains. Deeper levels of the illusion are always the same, light, atoms, and the very end is the information structure. How the mind really works. The mind is obsessed with shape, sound, and color. Why? Because that's all it has. The crystal brain was created that way. Thoughts are sounds, shapes, vibrations, and light. That's the universal language or software. The mind then decodes these sounds, vibrations, into a 3D holographic illusion. Over 400 billion pieces of information per second is sorted in the subconscious mind by the time it bubbles up through to the conscious mind. Now, depending on one's belief patterns, only 2,000 bits of information remain, which turns into a 3D experience we call life. The leftovers are the most self-serving information, which is about the environment, our bodies, and time. The mind manifests what it focuses on. When we consider how we see things in this 3D space, we're told, from an intellectual perspective, that light enters through the pupil of our eye, where it strikes the back of the eye, where it's reversed, and then travels along a neurological path to our brain, where it's flipped right side up again, and we see an image. Unfortunately, this is incorrect.
Man is conditioned right from the beginning of his life that the world he lives in has an absolute material reality. So he grows up under the effect of this conditioning and builds his entire life on this viewpoint. The findings of modern science, however, have revealed a completely different and significant reality than what is presumed. All the information that we have about the external world is conveyed to us by our 5 senses. The world we know of consists of what our eyes see, our ears hear, our noses smell, our tongues taste, and our hands feel. Man is dependent on only those 5 senses since birth. That is why he knows the external world only the way it is presented by these senses. Yet, scientific research carried out on our senses has revealed very different facts about what we call external world. And these facts have brought to light a very important secret about matter, which makes up the external world. Contemporary thinker Frederick Vester explains the point that science has reached on this subject. Statements of some scientists posing that man is an image Everything experienced is temporary and deceptive, and this universe is a shadow, seems to be proven by science in our day. In order to better grasp this secret behind matter, let us be reminded of our information about our sense of sight, which provides us with the most extensive information about the external world. The act of seeing is realized progressively. At the instance of seeing, light clusters called photons travel from the object to the eye and pass through the eye lens, where they are refracted and focus on the retina at the back of the eye. Here, rays are turned into electrical signals and then transmitted by neurons to the center of vision at the back of the brain. The act of seeing actually takes place in this center in the brain. All the images we view in our lives and all the events we experience are actually experienced in this tiny and dark place. Both the film you are now watching and the boundless landscape you see when you gaze at the horizon actually fit into this place of a few cubic centimeters. Now, let us reconsider this information more carefully. When we say we see, we actually see the effect the rays reaching our eyes form in our brain by being converted into electric signals. When we say we see, we actually observe the electrical signals in our brain. By the way, there is another point that has to be kept in mind. The brain is sealed to light, and its interior is absolutely dark. Therefore, it is never possible for the brain to contact with light itself. We can explain this interesting situation with an example. Let us suppose that in front of us there is a burning candle, and we view its light. During this period, when we view the candle's light, the inside of our skull and our brain are in absolute darkness. The light of the candle never illuminates our brain and our center of vision. However, we watch a colorful and bright world inside our dark brain. The same situation applies to all our other senses. Sound, touch, taste, and smell are all perceived in the brain as electrical signals. Therefore, our brains throughout our lives do not confront the original of the matter existing outside us, but rather an electrical copy of it formed inside our brain. It is at this point that we are misled by assuming these copies are instances of real matter outside us. These physical facts make us come to an indisputable conclusion. Everything we see, touch, hear, and perceive is matter. The world, or the universe, is only electrical signals in our brain. For instance, we see a bird in the external world. In reality, this bird is not in the external world, but in our brain. The light particles reflecting from the bird reach our eye, and there they are converted into electrical signals. These signals are transmitted by neurons to the center of vision in the brain. The bird we see is in fact the electric signals in our brain. If the sight nerves traveling to the brain were disconnected, the image of the bird would suddenly disappear. In the same manner, the bird sounds we hear are also in our brain. If the nerve traveling from the ear to the brain was disconnected, there would be no sound left. Put simply, the bird, the shape of which we see, and the sound of which we hear, is nothing but the brain's interpretation of electrical signals. Another point to be considered here is the sense of distance. For example, the distance between you and this screen is nothing but a feeling of space formed in your brain. Also, objects that seem to be very distant in one person's view are actually images clustered at one spot in the brain. For instance, someone who watches the stars in the sky assumes that they are millions of light years away from him. Yet the stars are right inside himself and the center of vision of his brain. While you watch this film, you are in truth not inside the room you assume yourself to be in. On the contrary, the room is inside you. Your seeing your body makes you think that you are inside of it. However, you must remember that your body too is an image formed inside your brain. So far, we have been speaking repeatedly of an external world and a world of perceptions formed in our brain, the latter of which is what we see. However, since we can never actually reach the external world, how can we be sure that such a world really exists? Definitely we cannot. The only reality we cope with is the world of perceptions we live within our minds. To imagine matter to have an existence outside the mind is indeed a deception. The perceptions we observe may well be coming from an artificial source. It is possible to see this in the mind's eye by an example. First, let us suppose that we could take our brain out of our body and keep it alive in a glass jar. Let us put a computer in which all kinds of information can be recorded. Finally, let us transmit the electrical signals of all the data related to a setting, such as image, sound, and smell, to this computer. Let us connect this computer to the sensory centers in our brain with electrodes and send the pre-recorded data to our brain. As our brain perceives these signals, it will see and live the setting correlated with these. From this computer, we can send to our brain also signals pertaining to our own image. For instance, we can send to our brain the electrical correlates of such senses as sight, hearing, and touch that we perceive while we sit at a desk. In that state, our brain would think itself as a businessman sitting in his office. This imaginary world would continue as long as the stimulations keep coming from the computer. We would never realize that we only consist of a brain. It is indeed very easy for us to be deceived into believing perceptions without any material correlates to be real. This is just what happens in our dreams. For you, reality is all that can be touched with the hand and seen with the eye. In your dreams, you can also touch with your hand and see with your eye. But in reality, you have neither hand nor eye, nor is there anything that can be touched or seen. Taking what you perceive in your dream to be material realities, you are simply deceived. For example, a person deeply asleep in his bed may see himself in an entirely different world in his dream. He may dream that he is a pilot and command a giant airplane, and even spend a great effort to command the plane. In fact, this person has not taken even one step away from his bed. In his dreams, he may visit different settings and meet with friends, have a chat with them, eat and drink together. It is only when the person awakes from his dream that he realizes all were only perceptions. If we are able to live easily in an unreal world during our dreams, the same thing can equally be true for the world we live in. When we wake up from a dream, there is no logical reason for not thinking that we have entered a longer dream that we call real life. The reason we consider our dream to be fancy and the world as real is nothing but a product of our habits and prejudices. This suggests that we may well be awoken from the life on earth, which we think we are living right now, just as we are awoken from a dream. After all these physical facts arises the question of primary importance. If all physical events that we know are intrinsically perceptions, what about our brain? Since our brain is a matter just like our arms, legs, or any other object, it also must be a perception just like all other objects. An example will illuminate the subject further. Let us think that we extend the nerves reaching our brain and put it outside our head, where we can see it with our eyes. In this case, we would be able to see also our brain and touch it with our fingers. This way, we can understand that our brain is also nothing but a perception formed by the senses of vision and touch. Then, what is the will that sees, hears, and perceives all other senses if it is not the brain? Who is it that sees, hears, touches, and perceives the taste and smell? Who is this being that thinks, reasons, has feelings, and moreover that says, I am me? One of the important thinkers of our age, Karl Popper, also poses the same question. Since the Greeks, philosophers have been thinking about the ghost in the machine, the small man within the small man, etc. Where is I, the person who uses his brain? Who is it that realizes the act of knowing? As St. Francis of Assisi said, what we search for is the one that sees. In fact, this metaphysical being that uses the brain, that sees and feels, is the soul. What we call the material world is the aggregate of perceptions viewed and felt by this soul. Just as the bodies we possess and the material world we see in our dreams have no physical reality, the universe we occupy and the bodies we possess now also have no physical reality. The real absolute being is the soul. Matter consists merely of perceptions viewed by the soul. Yes, even if we start with the presupposition that matter is real, the laws of physics, chemistry, and biology all lead us to the fact that matter consists of an illusion, and to the inevitable actuality of a metaphysical matter. This is the secret beyond matter. This fact is so definite that it alarms some materialist scientists who think matter to be the absolute being. Science writer Lincoln Barnett says in his book, The Universe in Einstein, along with philosophers' reduction of all objective reality to a shadow world of perceptions, scientists have become aware of the alarming limitations of man's senses. All these facts bring us face to face with a very significant question. If the thing we acknowledge to be the material world is merely comprised of perceptions given to our soul, then what is the source of these perceptions? In answering this question, we must consider the fact that matter does not have a self-governing existence by itself, but is a perception. Therefore, this perception must have been caused by another power, which means that it must have been created. Moreover, this creation must be continuous. If there were not a continuous and consistent creation, then what we call matter would disappear and be lost. This may be likened to a television on which a picture is displayed as long as the signal continues to be broadcast. If the broadcast stops, the image on the screen will also disappear.
Light is thought, and the thought of what we are intended to see is implanted within the liquid crystal prism of our brain. The suggestion, which originated from the original creative mindset, travels through the crystal brain, and similar to a ray of light passing through a rain shower, a rainbow of three-dimensional color, form and sound explodes in front of us. Whatever suggestion is attached to that explosion emanating from our crystal brain determines color, shape, depth, sound, and so on. The things we see, the sounds we hear, the smells we smell, all these details are within the thought, which is the word, the sound, the vibration, the energy, the glowing, and is the light. This has all been implanted in our brains as subliminal suggestion, and we believe it because we believe our senses and all the suggestion attached to them. It seems real. Even the sun, moon, and stars that reflect light to our eyes make up the hypnotic suggestion to convince us that what we see is real. It's only light. It's just a seductive, illusory, convincing thought form conjured up by the original oneness. Physical mass does not move, only the information of the swirling mass of atoms that make it what it is. DNA. This is the body's genetic library, found in every cell, and we all have some 120 billion miles of the stuff. It is DNA that carries the codes for our physical characteristics, but it is far more than that. It contains in excess of 100 trillion times more information than our most sophisticated storage devices. The DNA of all life, everything from a human being to a reptile, cat, dog, tree, flower, fish, insect, everything, shares the same codes known as A, G, C, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. This DNA tape has letters and a language, which is how we were created by this original thought entity. It is this programming into our very fiber that causes us to believe that what our language is saying to us is real. Without this language in our DNA, we would not give any credence to this 3D illusion we call life. However, because it is built into us to deceive us, we feel we have no choice but to accept that everything we see is real. The reader of the body software is called RNA, or ribonucleic acid, which is usually found in the form of a single strand. To keep it simple, the DNA is like the disk or template, and the RNA is like the laser that reads the information on the disk and communicates it to the cells. mental, and emotional influences like stress, trauma, and electromagnetic and chemical pollution, including additives in our food and drink. These can destabilize the RNA reading process and cause translation mistakes that lead to disease. All of these factors and more can affect how the RNA reads the DNA, and this is fundamental to both physical and mental health and our sense of reality. Now listen carefully here. DNA is a crystalline structure and a receiver, transmitter and amplifier of frequencies or light. This is what plugs us into the matrix and plugs everything and everyone around us. We are all connected to each other, including every animal and every living creature. The subconscious mind is located in the DNA. The subconscious mind provides a link with infinite intelligence and all other minds. So, why are some people smart and some people not? Well, in reality, we are all born on the same level of awareness. Different levels of awareness has to do with our programming and our belief patterns from the very start of life. DNA traits are also passed from father to son, mother to daughter, all the way from our past ancestry tree. We carry these traits and pass these traits to future generations. Higher levels of awareness also depends on how connected someone is to infinite intelligence inside the matrix illusion and infinite oneness outside the illusion. Spirituality, home surroundings, and environmental surroundings also play a major role. Unfortunately, mental laziness is now the trend of today's society. This is why the elite bloodline are obsessed with interbreeding to pass down strong traits and occult knowledge through the generations.
To get a DNA strand, you have to have the proteins configured properly. Yet to get the proteins, you've got to have the DNA strand. There is no chicken before the egg. And that's just one example of this. Many would argue that the entire place, the construct of the universe, right down to the earth, to the molecular fabric of your skin, is irreducibly complex from bottom to top. Now, entropy, one of the laws of thermodynamics, is that things deteriorate, they decline over time. It's not really complex. We observe this on a day-to-day basis, that organized things tend to deteriorate to chaos over time. They don't seem to improve. Now, with humans, we engineer stuff and we try and tug a war and fight with entropy and build better things, but ultimately systems decline. Our construct, our physical bodies, are made not only just of the particles, which we'll touch on and get into in just a second, but those particles, those little precision units of information, which is what Einstein would have called them. Those little digits are making up the cells, which are as complex as cities. We're going to carry it to the nucleus of the cell, which is going to open up and let the RNA carry this DNA RNA delivery system into the heart of the cell. Have you ever noticed that sometimes to understand the larger scope of something, you've got to actually go surgical for a minute. Get your hands right in the mix. Pay attention to its smallest parts for just a minute. Here, imagine winning the lottery every single day, not missing once. For the next 10,000 years, you would still be nowhere close to that number. Now, the odds of one single cell, just one little cell guy, are 10 to the 39,970 to 1, give or take. Now, in comparison to that last number, this one looks really small, right? And in mathematics, we know that anything that is 10 to the 50th power to 1 is a mathematical impossibility. There are 10 to the 82nd power atoms believed to be in the entire universe. So how many times does this number fit into that number above? The answer is this: trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions, and this number could keep on going for a long, long ways, times the number of atoms in the universe to 1, against there being one single cell in this place. I went with the lowball numbers on that, by the way. Now, the inside of a cell is a living, breathing, high-performance, no-nonsense, no-joke factory. So here's my DNA strand inside the heart of the cell, and these little machine guys come through here in a process called transcription. These things are the size of cities. In fact, the inner world of this cell is larger in its inner world than New York City, with all of its little parts doing very specific precision jobs. And then this next set of machines come through, and they're writing in, they're actually doing copying, which, of course, like any factory, it all fits together like a perfect glove. It doesn't have spare factory parts in there. Every little piece is serving a precision role to every other part within the inside of that cell, which would mean, of course, that at its inception, it has to start as a complete piece, otherwise it wouldn't exist at all. In fact, if you took every piece of technology that we have ever made, packed it into a space so small that you could barely see it with our largest microscopes, you would still be light years away from the technology employed in a single cell of this place. And that single cell guy, he's dependent on other things that are beating the exact same odds, or actually larger odds as well. See? He's dependent on things, and those things are dependent on things. Single cell is not just dependent on all of its internal parts, but it's dependent on the external world as well. Other things beating these same type of numbers as if simultaneously, so that all of the parts can function. Accident after accident after accident after accident, and those things are dependent on things, and those things dependent on things, and those things of things, until you realize that all of it is dependent on all of it, beating odds just like these for them to exist at all. Let me put this in perspective for you. Imagine you were that single cell, and you have just beat absolute mathematical insanity, and here you come into existence, but immediately you die because all of the other stuff that you're dependent on, it's not in place. Almost like the accidents were, I don't know, coordinated. Every living biological organism on this planet is constructed of little bitty factories. These precision factories are all doing sophisticated operations within the entirety of the cell. Each of those factories has tons and tons of parts that are all working together, doing these little precision jobs, but they're not doing these jobs on their own. These factories need sets of instructions. They need software. All of the parts of the cell are not randomly doing jobs. They're doing it based on digital coding, which is giving instructions to all of the machines. So the machines not only have to be designed to work with the software, but the software has to be designed to give instructions to the machines. So when you hear the scientists marveling, saying, how can this happen on its own? Why are the numbers this bad? The mathematical miracles happening all over the place. That's why the numbers are that bad. At some point on the timeline, order does have to occur because we're here, right? Then it's about to get more intense because the digital coding in your cellular factories is about to have to coordinate and come together. That gets you one single cell and all of the factory parts that are moving inside that cell, and the little digital DNA software running the cell guy on top of the earth that shouldn't be there in the universe that came out of nowhere. But this right here is the point where the accidents have to go sheer precision. That's a human heart right there, surgical. These accidents have got to be shoved violently into hyperdrive. Millions and millions and millions and millions. That is a very sophisticated piece of machinery. You do not want the digital instructions that are all coming together to create that guy. You cannot have trial and error. A little bit off this way, a little bit off that way would be a bad, bad thing. Have got to come together and coordinate of digital code all funneled into a pure live feed. Now all of the digital mastery has got to come together as one complete, creating everything from the bones being written in to the muscles to the ear is where the rabbit hole goes really deep. The part where you need the master file. You need body plans which will coordinate all of that software to become that pulls all of it together into one majesty, a body plan, putting together everything from the fingertips to the tongue to the toes and every part in between. And mind you, you need a body plan not just for the human beings, but a separate set of living instructions for every living, breathing species, type, and kind of organism on this planet. And this digital code has got to be a lot more complex than any of our stuff. It has to be three-dimensional and configured properly because it's making three-dimensional biological organisms from scratch. Not only are there no spare parts, not just on human beings, but on any other species of creature on Earth. They're all a precision completeness. But more than that, unlike machines that we make, like computers and things of that type, it can do redundant error correction to make sure that this comes out right. And unlike clunky machines made by man, it can self-heal, like cranes and such, that with time the part will wear out. In the construct of the human condition, the muscles are actually designed to strengthen with use. A literal mastery of biological hardware. But it's not complete until, boom, you got your consciousness. Never forget the cherry on top, right on top of all of it. Sort of like being plugged into Wi-Fi, huh? The real you, and neurons and little connections coming down the spinal cord. Almost like there's something larger going on here than mortgage payments and car notes. Look, here's the paradox. Let me lay it out for you. You can see the hyper-intensified order all inside, every little detail of the place, but you cannot see the source from which that order comes, even if it's dimensionally layered right on top of it. We'll get to that. The very spot within the life sciences where the matrix of all the little bitty fabric of machines and cells and parts that have come together to make the beautiful construction of these biological machines within the matrix of this place get smack dab hit with the neurosciences. There is no point within those two sciences alone where you're going to run into the metaphysical, the dimensional, and the spiritual faster than that point to give all of these precise directions to the parts right at the moments that you think about them. be some kind of a point of translation. There's got to be a little bit more going on in there than just little electrical connections. In both the Greek and Hebrew texts, it refers to the human body as a temple that are zipping this way and that, not in any random fashion, mind you. The ghost and the machine, the actual intangible conscious being that makes up what you call you, operating through a physical apparatus of the human body. The intangible controlling the tangible, the very spot where some might argue two dimensions meet.
Think of the human mind like this. A state-of-the-art computer with a hard drive having access to every possible infinite supply of software programs that's never, ever, ever ending. That's the ether. The fabricated stories of alien spirits or channeling the dead are all communications of thought in the ether. Channelers channel thoughts from the ether. Every human brain communicates with infinite intelligence, but only a few know how to master it. Someone has been lying to us. It needs to stop. People need to know the truth.
Alright, you people straight up know that what you put out is what you get back. So, you know that if you want to manifest something in your reality, that you need to resonate it. And people are looking at that sort of sentiment like, whoa, 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 wait just a fucking minute. How in the fuck am I supposed to resonate that? I'm looking to obtain it. I don't have it. If I had it, then I wouldn't need to be making the little request for it. So how the fuck am I supposed to resonate something that I don't have? So it seems like a bit of a paradox. Well, let's kind of shift the framework. Let's put each of these trains on their own track so that they're not on head-on collision. Pay attention when you like something. There's a specific energetic signature. There's a feeling down to the most minute detail. Ever notice that when you really, really, really like pizza, for example, let's say, it's a very, very, very different feeling than when you might like, say, chocolate ice cream, and both of those are a very, very different feeling from when you might like, oh, I don't know, a 2011 Lamborghini Diablo. Even just the thought of liking something is resonating a frequency. You don't have to already possess it. I mean, you can just be of the opinion that you like it, even if you've never had it. I mean, you know, how do any of you people that are out there that you know are under the impression that you know you'd like to go out banging all these hot chicks or whatever? Well, gee, if you've never banged all those hot chicks, then how do you know you're gonna like it? Well, this is the same sort of thing. Now, when you get that energetic frequency, kind of consider that as the metaphysical hyperlink, alright? The metaphysical web address, you know, www.mymetaphyicalmanifestation blah blah dot whatever. And you're putting that in your quantum web browser, okay? So when you're resonating, what you want to attract to you, what you're doing is you're sending a content request to the server. You know, metaphorically. You're sending a content request to the server. And when you match, you know, you want to go and type yahoo.com, right? Well, if you type yahoo.com instead of com, you make a typo, just that one little slight thing out of alignment, you're going to get error 404, page not found, or whatever. It's not going to go to where you're looking for. Well, if you got the slightest little frequency off kilter, you're not going to manifest what you're looking for. It works just like the freaking internet. So pay attention. Make sure you've got the metaphysical web address right. Pay attention to how you're feeling. That's the web address, the energetic signature. First you're thinking of something. You're thinking of that Lamborghini Diablo, and then all of a sudden there's a feeling. Well, your emotions let you know what the hell you're thinking. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to what you're thinking, how you're feeling, your surroundings, what's going on. Pay attention to all of it at the same time so you can feel and grab up that metaphysical web address, put it into the quantum browser, make the request to the server, and you'll get what you're looking to get instead of sitting there pissing and moaning going, how the fuck am I supposed to resonate something I don't have? I don't know, how are you supposed to load up a website that you don't have loaded up already? Put the fucking address in the browser, thank you. And make sure it's not your street address.
Anybody see the movie? I know y'all all saw it, right? Well, we're gonna get deep into it.
Counterattacks in Iraq. Strong. And there's Army strong.
Modern psychology has a word that is probably used more than any other word in psychology. It is the word maladjusted. Maladjusted. I would like to say to you today that there are some things in our society and some things in our world for which I'm proud to be maladjusted.
Y'all don't go sit in front of the movies just to be entertained, do you? Y'all take notes at the movies? I see them in the movies with a clipboard. Now, if y'all ain't going into the movies with clipboards or with tapes so that you could be making notes to yourself, then you are being entrained. You're being entrained to feel good about what's going on the screen. You are one of Big Brother's best kept secrets.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible.
There's two different types of mind control.
Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
The first kind of mind control gets real deep. This is why your metaphysical antennas got to be up at full tilt while I'm talking.
Tonight's talk is consciousness, creativity, and the brain. And if you have a golf ball-sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball-sized understanding. When you look out, a golf ball-sized awareness. And when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball-sized wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness. And when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness. And there's an ocean of pure, vibrant consciousness inside each one of us. And it's right at the source and base of mind, right at the source of thought.
All right, not too many of y'all into that deep metaphysics. Now, metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.
Life is a massive fucking mystery, and there's only a few different ways to really crack below the surface of that mystery. You know, going crazy or losing their minds on it. You're not going to go crazy. You're going to go fucking insane. Alright? All that stuff is going to remove your ego, and it's going to explain to you what the world is really all about.
Well, you know, it's an altogether new thing. And you actually can have a religious experience. And it can be even more important than reading the Bible 6 times or becoming a pope or something like that.
In the past 100 years, as these super technologies have been developed in the West, the smashing of atoms, the invention of radio, television, computers, immunology, so forth and so on, data has been arriving about the practices of Aboriginal cultures all over the planet. That they dissolve ordinary realities, ordinary cultural values. Cultural operating system is wiped clean.
It's just arrived. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love.
If you don't understand metaphysical principles, forget going to school, forget going to work. Well, go to work. Just be blissful, and when time comes when to throw the dirt on you, then, you know, just cash in. But if you are about evolving It is time you open up that metaphysical grave that had been dug for you, the part of you, the spark that lays buried.
Beyond what government institutions tell us, beyond the mainstream, there lies an abundance of knowledge that seeks to gain an understanding of this reality that we are all part of.
That is what's going to open you up. That's what's going to give you the ability to escape.
The book it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you, the people, have the power.
And you represent our species, and the greatest good you can do is to bring back a new idea, because our world is endangered by the absence of good ideas. Our world is in crisis because of the absence of consciousness.
You can be in the world and use the things of the world, but you should not be attached to those things, that's all. It's just using them as tools. Also the ego and the senses. The ego is the cement that holds the 5 elements in the whole creation together. Without ego, cosmic ego, there would be no creation at all. All of these things are tools for the soul to come into this world and experience the things of the world and find fulfillment and completion.
Your metaphysical mind. Damn all of what it is they're showing you out here. This is the illusion.
And it's also at the source of all matter.
There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
If you saw Matrix, it had told you it's the illusion. But you didn't have to go to see Matrix because we've been telling you that for 25 years. And I know the elders have been telling you that longer than that from inside.
Matter seems like a good place to begin. The solidity of the world seems totally indisputable. As a fixed thing that you can see and touch, your body is also reassuringly solid. But beginning with Einstein, modern physics has assured us that this solidity is a mirage.
All of physical matter, everything we have around us, is the result of a frequency. And what that also means is that if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
It's as if reality is so connected that when you look at one small part, you can see things about other parts. That the entire whole is contained in the part. And in a sense, you can't divide reality up because we're cutting up a hologram. We can't find where one particle is because it's always a reflection of all particles.
In a hologram, the whole pattern is whole and complete unto itself. And if you were to take any little portion of this whole out and examine it closely, you will see the entire pattern repeating itself again and again and again. Anywhere in this pattern, if we were to change one little aspect on any one of these little holograms, that change would be reflected throughout the entire system.
The concept of substance arose from the philosophy of Aristotle, and from that concept came science's conception of matter. The fact of the matter is that the substance of the universe is consciousness. Belief that the substance of the universe is matter leads to what I call a fear-greed dichotomy, as people in their quiet desperation attempt to accumulate as many material possessions and riches as possible. In fact, the substance of the universe is consciousness. Therefore, it is behavior that is important.
If you get into the realms of fear, fear is a very slow, dense, vibrational state. And the more you embody fear, and the whole of this manipulated society is globally is structured to make us fear, to make us have stress, to make us worry about tomorrow, and have guilt about yesterday, and forget about now. It brings us into a slow vibrating dense state.
We should be very careful about what we believe about the future, the more you attach to a belief system, the more, if reality is holographic, you're helping create it by believing it. And you know, the great clairvoyant Edgar Cayce said that our every thought, that reality is built out of thought, and our every thought starts to build reality, and we're like, every thought is like a spider, we're like spiders spinning web, and that web starts to build and build.
Information is the key, because this matrix, this illusory reality that we think is real, people say to me, what is the matrix? Answer, it's information.
Information creates fractals. As information flow increases, the number of fractals, mathematically speaking, increase. This was demonstrated by a mathematician named Theodore Gordon. Fractals are unpredictable functions, so things are becoming more and more unpredictable.
When you start getting into fractals and chaos theory, when you look at it in terms of a society, this is where it starts to cross over into the so-called Illuminati or the negative elite, the world leaders, with their philosophy of order out of chaos. There is some truth to that, in the sense that when the system becomes highly destabilized, there will be random shifts that suddenly self-organize into higher complexity.
At the subatomic level, reality behaves in accordance with the expectation of the observer, or the measurer, the scientist. Why is that remarkable? Because everything in the universe is composed of those subatomic particles.
These atoms are particles that are whirling at lightning speeds around huge empty spaces, and the particles aren't material objects. They are fluctuations of energy and information in a huge void of energy and information.
What the science now is showing is that when you can change the field that the atom is in, you change the atom. And we're made of those atoms. So when we have feelings in our hearts, we're changing the field that connects the stuff everything is made of, and we literally are altering our physical reality.
Once you establish the reality we live in, and the nature of what the physical body is, it's a biological computer, and the nature of what we are, which is consciousness, and then you start, as I have, looking at the way this world is structured and how it works and why they do this and why they do that, it suddenly brings into crystal clarity why the world is structured as it is. Because, you know, people look through their eyes and they think this is the world, but it isn't. It's a tiny, tiny frequency range within an infinite energy field of infinite frequency ranges. And basically it's like a holographic television channel.
It is the act of consciousness that actually creates the building block that the universe is made of. I can't imagine a universe that exists without us, because it's the act of us observing the world around us that is creating, allowing us to create as we go in a participatory universe. We may never find the edge of our universe as we're looking to define what this universe looks like. We may never find the smallest particle in the quantum world to see what this stuff is that we're made out of. And the reason is because everywhere we look, everywhere that consciousness explores with the expectation that something will be there, that exploration, that act of looking, observation, is the act that creates something for us to see. That we are actually building this universe as we go.
Consciousness is the programming language of the universe. We are consciousness conductors. That's what we do. That's who we are. Consciousness comes through us. It emanates from us. We are the creators. We are the ones who are targeted on this planet because we are the ones who transmit the reality just like everybody else does. If you switch your brain off and you are sucked into the mainstream media illusion, we must understand that we are being used because we create reality. So if we are manipulated in a certain way, and if we are modulated in a certain way, then our creation becomes not ours but somebody else's.
And what happens if we all do it? Everyone in this room decides to take control of reality. I'm talking about reality, I'm talking about quantum physics, I'm talking about taking control of things from the quantum level up, from the molecular level up, and it works. One of the things we're actually dealing with is some, as I say, some kind of operating system that can be hacked using words.
oh gosh, just breaking out of this world, you know, it's just insanity. It's gosh. You know what? You're gonna feel a bit uncomfortable. This whole process, I know a lot of people, okay, they email me, they're like, I just want to feel like you, Leigh. I want to feel good all the time. What's your secret? How are you so high all the time? I'm going through this just like you. I have my ups and downs, and I just don't want to talk about it anymore because I'm gonna get sad, guys. I'm gonna get sad. Oh my gosh, Leigh gets sad. No way. She's human. Holy shit. I didn't know that. I thought she was a robot who's always happy. I seriously get these emails, guys. It's crazy. People think I'm like happy all the time.
Energy is very powerful, and so is thought. Thought is energy. You create your reality.
Matter seems like a good place to begin. The solidity of the world seems totally indisputable. As a fixed thing that you can see and touch, your body is also reassuringly solid.
And get that feeling nature going.
Because that's the thing. Who you really are is just whatever you want to be in the moment. Whatever is natural in that moment, really. It doesn't mean you have multiple personality disorder. That is complete BS. You're just you in the moment. I mean, sometimes I'm really giddy and silly. Sometimes I have more of a dry sense of humor. Sometimes I'm really angry. Sometimes I'm really upset. But a lot of the time, I just feel so much peace within me. These days, what I've really just seen, gosh, how important it is to connect with like-minded people.
It's like the fire in the fireplace. If you're trying to create from your head and there's no fire in your fireplace, in your feeling center, you're not going to succeed. I'll have the calamari.
Well, I guess I'll have the insensitive bitch with a side of you.
But beginning with Einstein, modern physics has assured us that this solidity is a mirage.
All of physical matter, everything we have around us, is the result of a frequency. And what that also means is that if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
Energy is very powerful, and so is thought. Thought is energy. You create your reality.
Or too much other people's imagination and messages through publicity.
So Justin Bieber, what do you think about me, Freud?
And we're bombarded by that, so we're dreaming somebody else's dream.
Nightmare. Someone else's nightmare. So
it's empty.
And you know, the media, everything, everywhere you look, pharmaceuticals, the media, the news, even a lot of stuff on the internet.
They prescribe shit.
All aimed at being fearful of your emotions.
I know, I'm totally, you know what, it's fucking awesome, people. Seriously, because I am at a point where I am just so me. Like, I am so okay with me. I'm actually at a point where I don't even care what people, you know, want to call me. People who want to say, oh, Leah, oh, you're no longer spiritual because I heard you say the word fuck in one of your videos. Oh my God. Or Leah, after, it's so funny when people kind of just want to project and label me and put me in a little box. And I'm at a point where that stuff doesn't really bug me anymore. And that says a lot. Wow, that's so cool. I know who I am. I am 32 flavors and then some. I seriously, if I went to the doctors, if I went, you know, to get a diagnosis, they would probably diagnose me with schizophrenia. They would probably diagnose me with bipolar because my mood is all over the place. Of course. We are shedding so much. I am just shedding so many layers of my ego right now. I'm doing this because this is supposed to be an onion. If you didn't know, I wish I could somehow put an onion there. Yes, we're shedding layers right now, and there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes with it. And there's a lot of emotions that are being released. There's a lot of, pain and sadness, but it's all good. It's just a part of this process that we're going through, just being me. And it's so fucking liberating being you. It seriously is.
How misleading they are, how you get stuck in them, how you can, all kinds of stuff like this, be afraid to feel them.
Like you're giving yourself an opportunity to decide whether you really do want the circumstances to change by first presenting yourself very often with the same set of circumstances to see if you respond differently to them, making a clear commitment that you have, in fact, vibrationally changed your state of being.
Gain the support of your subconscious mind.
You create your reality.
At the subatomic level, reality behaves in accordance with the expectation of the observer or the measurer, the scientist. Why is that remarkable? Because everything in the universe is composed of those subatomic particles.
These atoms are particles that are whirling at lightning speeds around huge empty spaces. And the particles aren't material objects. They are fluctuations of energy and information in a huge void of energy and information.
What the science now is showing is that when you can change the field that the atom is in, you change the atom. We're made of those atoms. So when we have feelings in our hearts, we're changing the field that connects the stuff everything is made of, and we literally are altering our physical reality.
Once you establish the reality we live in, and the nature of what the physical body is, it's a biological computer, and the nature of what we are, which is consciousness. And then you start, as I have, looking at the way this world is structured and how it works and why they do this and why they do that. It suddenly brings into crystal clarity why the world is structured as it is. Because, you know, people look through their eyes and they think this is the world. But it isn't. It's a tiny, tiny frequency range within an infinite energy field of infinite frequency ranges. And basically it's like a holographic television
I
channel.
met a hippie on the bus, on the airplane.
Really?
Who went to Berkeley in the 1960s.
Oh, cool.
He's really cool.
I'm done with trying to fit everyone else's standards and acceptance, and
We don't do it. It don't fucking happen.
You create your reality.
We don't face our shadow side. It don't fucking happen.
That's why I'm just all of it like, gosh, let's just let go of the labels. Can we just be free to be ourselves? Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm just being me. And you can take it or leave it. You can seriously take it or leave it. Because you know what? I don't want people in my life who don't like me, who don't love and accept me for who I am. I don't want those people in my life. You know, I wish them well. I wish them no harm. But I don't need them in my life. That's why it's just so important to be you, because it's going to make it really obvious which people are there to love and support you, which people are not there to love and support you. The ones that are not there to love and support you and respect you, you want them in your life. You know, you want, just wish them well, send them love. You don't want them in your life, you know? Being you is just, it's so free, just being who you are. And when you are who you are, whatever that is, and it's constantly changing and evolving, you know what happens? Life is just so much easier. Life is just so much more enjoyable. You begin to attract all of these amazing people. You just begin to manifest, you know, so much more. And for the people who are like, I don't really feel much right now. I don't know who I am. It's time to explore. It's time to engage and really embrace the unknown. You know, go do something. Go do something that you've always wanted to do, but you never did it because you're like, oh, if I do that, I'll be a little bit embarrassed. What will people think? Well, what will people think? Who gives a shit, really? You know, because doing that simple act of something that makes you uncomfortable, stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're going to feel something. And even if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you're probably going to feel a bit more empowered because you did something that, you know, you thought you could never do, but you did it. You're going to feel a sense of accomplishment. Your confidence is going to go up. Your vibration is going to go up.
You won't save the planet. You'll be like the cat lady with 75 cats. I try to save everyone. And it creates this horrible stench, dysfunctional place. That's what we're doing.
even when everyone else is so resistant to just being in the flow of life in general.
All the false religions, including New Age garbage, that is not wanting to address the dark stuff inside each individual. Clean up your own backyard.
Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live
Where did I come from? What religions on the face of the earth today have any answers to that question? What should I do while I'm here? I'm bombarded from all sides by moralistic advice and judgments. From every conceivable brand, there's 20,000 versions of Christianity on the face of the earth today, just to take Christianity alone. The advice is inconsistent, confusing, bewildering. What should I do? Where did I come from? And where am I going? And if any of you who surf the internet will see how many hits there are on this question of what happens after death. And all of the answers that we've been given are so bizarre, so emotionally charged, so childish, and lacking in any substance that most thinking people on the earth today have dismissed them as unworthy.
Toxic waste dump is what we are when we are not dealing with our stuff inside us. We literally have a trail of astral shit, astral dark energy coming out our backside.
I think I'm about to be mugged.
About to be what? Man, f*** you! Enjoy the view, weather vane!
It's modesty. Here's some truth. Alright?
One's so resistant to different views and perspectives. You can't let that get to you. I do that often, and once I let it all go and just realize, you know, live your truth, do what you gotta do.
Jerry and Esther and friends were just on a cruise ship that went through the Panama Canal. And the water level was 84 feet difference. Men who are at a different vibrational place than they really want to be would like to just jump. And it was an interesting thought to think about that big cruise ship just leaping into the higher water. Not a practical thought at all. Not possible. So instead, the boat sailed into a channel which was blocked off, and once it got in, then water was added to it. And then the locks were opened and the boat just moved into the next lock. And then more water was added, and then the boat just moved into the next lock. And it was not fast, but it was sure, and it was efficient, it was effective. You are really not wanting the quantum leap that you think you're wanting. You're really not wanting these huge vibrational jumps. What you're wanting is the ease and flow. And this is the thing that we want you to understand. If you've been moving incrementally through these locks, how much difference do you think that ship felt by the time the water level was equal and the gates opened? It didn't feel anything. Moving into the next water level, it was just ease into the next level of the water. If you will cool your jets just a little bit and knock off the impatience that you have with yourself, and you will just pay attention to how you're feeling with this interest in increasing your improvement in the way you feel, what you'll begin to notice is that you will be able to incrementally recognize what you are doing, and that's when deliberate creating really gets fun.
Nature operates under precise and immutable laws as the law of gravity. Thoughts are governed by laws with the same exactness as the law of gravity. It is wise to embrace nature's example by living within the laws. Your mind is the source and cause of all circumstances in your life. Therefore, by adjusting your thinking and disciplining your mind, your circumstances will stabilize and improve over time. Thought must be accompanied by action. If you want to climb the top of the hill, you don't just sit at the bottom and pray. At the end of the day, you will probably find you are still sitting there, unless you have mastered the act of teleportation, that is. In order to climb that hill, first you must decide to do so. Then you take a step and another and another. You may fall back a few steps or take a wrong turn, but you continue climbing until you reach the top.
If you have a golf ball-sized consciousness,
When you read a book, you'll have a golf ball size understanding. When you look out, a golf ball size awareness. And when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball size wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness. And when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness. And there's an ocean of pure, vibrant consciousness inside each one of us.
All in all, thought creates reality.
Let's think about Aladdin and the sexual genie. Okay, let's not. That's a little creepy.
Bring everything up to the surface so it's all transparent, so you can clearly see exactly what everyone believes, positive and negative, and make a determination for yourself what you want to choose.
I'm not talking to you about wishful thinking or imaginary.
Where's the nerve?
So, here you are. You've been basking, you've been appreciating, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you're feeling great.
I'm talking you from a more basic understanding.
That the process has begun to take place inside of me. I've changed. I have abilities that I did not have before. I have understandings that I never had before. And I have assistance.
Hey, big Flabba Secrets! Awesome! Is that delivery? Is that the show? No! We're talking about Vicky B here, baby! That's the Flabba Secrets, baby! Awesome, baby!
Everybody see that inner divine spark in themselves, transforming themselves and empowering themselves all together.
Don't call Proctor. Proctor will call you. You see, what I'm doing here, people, is I'm using these hoes, but I'm never loving these hoes. Proctor can't make a hoe a housewife. You gotta know that. Proctor Nation, bitches.
You'll be fucking fat girls in no time.
Deal with your fucking shadow.
You're frightened. Good. I can feel the terror growing, making me stronger and stronger.
I'm scared.
Good. More fear. It's nourishing me, making me stronger each minute.
Who are you?
That's for me to know and you to find out.
You talk like a child.
I am. But I'm growing. I'm getting bigger and bigger.
What kind of a game is this?
That's it. You guessed it. A game. Don't you like games? Too bad. Because there's more to come. The best part. You'll see. You'll see.
The Luciferian mind of the thinking entities which run the world through the Illuminati families. They have the whole world in a confused and a panicked state of fear. They know we are a thinking being and we construct reality through thought. That is why they're trying to program this disaster in us, amongst other things. Now, everyone is waiting for a global disaster to happen. Imagine what this is doing on the conscious grid. Just imagine for 1 minute the whole world focusing on peace, love and goodwill. Imagine this effect on the conscious grid. the whole third dimension will shatter and come crashing down. In its place, a new world would rise like a phoenix from the ashes, the perfect world that everyone deep inside craves for. A utopia. A utopia where the law of attraction works in harmony to one's wishes and desires. A utopia where humans and animals dwell in a perfect harmony, where the songs of birds fill the air, interloping with harmonies of nature, a symphony that has never been heard before. Where the oceans are so clear and the water so crisp and fresh. A world where the sweet smell of cherry blossoms fills the air and reaches high above the mountains, where majestic white clouds of pillows form in the bright blue skies. But for now, it's just a dream. Returning back to this controlled present reality, where we smell the burning fumes of the cars in front of us while sitting in traffic on our way to work, to a job we dislike, all for a piece of paper with digits that determines where we live, what we eat, and where we go. A world where we are a prisoner in our own mind, shrouded in a reality we never chose or wish we belonged to. A world where we feel powerless to do anything about it. Little do we know within us, we have the power to change the world. So, let's be honest. Why is the world in such a sorry state? And why are we living in fear and denial? Is it really all the Illuminati's doing? The government's fault? Or is it the group egregore of thinking thought forms? Sure, we are all naive children being hit with reverse psychology on every front. But remember this, the egregore group of thinking entities cannot manifest in physical form or can force you to do what they want. They can't. All they can do is send the thoughts to you. Oh, there is that word again, called free will. In this duality, free will and choice leading to the cause and effect and all the way to the butterfly effect. Go and look in the mirror, and you'll find the answer to why the world is in such a sorry state of affairs. You are the co-creator of this world, but you're just a drop in the vast ocean of thoughts that created what we see today. We co-create with the universal mind or the mainframe computer. No, it's not my fault. I didn't create this. You don't know what you're talking about. Denial. Really? Are you not the arse that parks his car in the middle of a two-spot lane? Not the arse at works that likes to cause grief to everyone? Are you not the arse working as a doctor, knowingly administering poison to your patients? Are you not the arse that owns a franchise, knowing that your food is deadly to human race, but you prefer the profits before morals? Are you not the arse expecting those big bribes in a position of power that the good people entrusted you with? Are you not the high-level banker, the stockbroker, the scammer, the drug dealer, the worker sitting behind the drones, killing innocent children? The list is endless. You can loop a 24-hour video on this. But you get the message. To change the world, we must first change ourselves from deep within. David Icke's classic line, brushing the mirror and expecting change. Remember, when you blame others, you give up your power to change. To make changes happen fast is impossible. Just look around at the sleepwalking zombies that's keeping the grid busy with no purpose. So, what we need to do is start the change on an individual level to affect our DNA energy code, which is the subconscious mind. Secondly, and most importantly, is to affect the pineal gland into opening up the frequencies and make the all-seeing eye operational. Curiosity is a must. The right foods are just as important, but just as equally important is knowledge. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is useless when you can't absorb it or understand it properly. Remember this guy?
If you have a golf ball-sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball-sized understanding. When you look out, a golf ball size awareness, and when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball size wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness, and when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness.
What he's not telling you, however, is about the DNA energy code, which is the subconscious mind affecting consciousness. There are over 400 billion pieces of information per second that's sorted in the subconscious mind by the time it bubbles up through to the conscious mind. Now, depending on one's belief patterns, only 2,000 bits of information remain. Belief patterns affect the remaining bits of information that we perceive in the conscious mind. Remember, quantum physics has also shown us that the person preforming an experiment influences the outcome. In other words, consciousness can change the outcome of an experiment depending on one's belief patterns. Belief patterns are the hardest to change because of the corrupt brainwashing we receive from our parenting and schooling and the lies from the media. Let's start with the hardest that's been hardwired to our brain by our brainwashed parents and the deceptive system. The God program. Religion is only a primitive concoction by man to command, suppress, and exploit others, to which only spiritually weak life forms succumb. Being this truth to light throughout the world and make it known to the people. If this does not happen, mankind will slowly destroy itself and fall into complete spiritual darkness. The time of truth has come. The liars, the builders of churches, temples and cathedrals in order to deceive humankind. The building temples erected to lies, to deceiving and the enslavement of humankind minds and souls. Those existing ancient and beautiful temples and cathedrals, which are called by many the house of God, which are spread all around the planet, are in reality and in truth temples and cathedrals erected with innocent human blood. The time of truth has come to all of you.
I don't make things happen. Doesn't work like that. Free will. It's like butterfly wings. Once touched, they never get off the ground. No, I only set the stage. You pull your own strings. Who are you carrying all those bricks for anyway? God? Is that it? God? Well, I tell you, let me give you a little inside information about God. God likes to watch. He's a prankster. Think about it. He gives man instincts. He gives you this extraordinary gift, and then what does he do? I swear, for his own amusement, his own private cosmic gag reel, he sets the rules in opposition. It's the goof of all time. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow. And while you're jumping from one foot to the next, what is he doing? He's laughing his sick fucking ass off. He's a tight ass. He's a sadist. He's an absentee landlord. Worship that? Never.
The central theme of the end times, embedded in all religions throughout our history, and a push for war, sacrifice and destruction. We don't need dogma to tell us right from wrong. Every being in the universe knows right from wrong. The all-seeing eye itself has all the sacred geometries and understandings of sacred universal law built in. It can also tune into the frequencies of the ether and other dimensions. Once this gland starts to work properly, it'll do things you can't even begin to imagine. Just asking or thinking the right questions, all the answers will come to you from all directions. You can do anything you think about. Creativity will come alive by focusing on any subject you like. There are endless levels of awareness. The power you will wield is like magic. You become very powerful, like a human dynamo. The higher levels of secret societies will teach you this once you reach a certain degree of frequency adjustments. This is the so-called Luciferian energies they talk about. Also, keep in mind with the endless trolls on the net who set up websites using Christianity as a front and use the God-program psychology against you to discredit the truth hidden in the mystery schools. In George Lucas's occult classic Star Wars, talking about the Force and the positive and negative energies, this is because, once again, we live in a dualistic universe. Nothing comes easy or overnight to awaken this gland, remembering there are many levels of awareness. The bloodline cabal took 5,000 years to get to the power of control that they have today. Like slow chess players, the cabal only started accelerating in the past 1,000 years, and now it's become so obvious that the grand plan is hard to hide. The most important top of the list things you must do is stop watching TV and listening to the radio. It's so destructive in ways you couldn't even believe to imagine. It also entertains at a kindergarten level. It's disgraceful. The general population can't see that because they're in a hypnotic trance. Today, they're using more elaborate ways to program you and dumb you down, using the negative side of sacred geometry against you on TV. Even at work, whilst waiting for a lift to your floors, they're programming you. Fluoride is a must to stop, as this crystallizes the gland. Try and stop eating meat. You feel great down the track, and this will slowly start starving some of the negative energy thought forms we created and bring harmony to the planet. Stop alcohol. They're all brain scramblers. Stop vaccinations. These are for stupid people only. Health is very important. Learn to shop right by identifying the enemy. Exercise, meditate, and take up chi or yoga. Learn about sigils and about pineal frequency adjustments. Learn self-healing. The cures to illness are not only in nature, but the real cures are in vibrational frequencies. These technologies are hidden and suppressed. Remember, on the second level of awareness, our bodies are electric and light, so what better way to heal but with frequencies? Why do you think microchips are compatible with our bodies? Why do you think laser light works on facials to smooth wrinkles? Lasers are light frequencies. The solutions to any problems will come when our awareness levels rises. It's all in the frequencies you occupy. We have technologies that can do anything and everything. A small box can power a whole city. Cars that run on water. We can fix every problem and cure every disease and reverse environmental damage in a very short period of time. Houston, we have the technology. We can grow endless amounts of food without chemicals or fertilizers if we realize the technology to the farmers. If they want right now, they can end poverty with a stroke of the pen. Everything is a scam. Money, taxes, and diseases. All the unnecessary laws and red tape are designed to keep you busy and frustrated. Did you know that stated in the constitutions of the world that money can be printed by governments for infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and anything that involves the government? They sold pieces of the government illegally and privatized it. They also illegally bought in the IMF. Learn the real laws and learn your legal rights. Let's just think for 1 minute what else these criminals have done to the human race. Now, if reality is holographic, then what gives them the right to charge you for land that exists on a waveform which only comes into existence when viewed? Land on the earth is our God-given right that should be for free. We are life forms connected to the earth, which is all provable. How dare they charge us for anything? The whole system needs to collapse, and a new digit system needs to take its place with no interest charged. Everything needs to be restructured and the cabal given their marching orders. Reform the government and healthcare systems. The government structure should be there to serve the people, not enslave it. Reform the education system for the young shoots grow to be strong, healthy trees. Abolish every form of illegal taxes. Abolish the war machines and focus on turning the planet into a paradise for everyone. Wishful thinking? Maybe. But achievable with the right, clean mind attached to a fully functioning, all-seeing eye working. Why do you think they put this symbol everywhere? To show you they are controlling you, suppressing you. It's not Illuminati symbolism. None of it is. And it certainly does not belong to the Jewish mafia running Hollywood. The symbolism has been around since the beginning of man. Why so much technology now, and why is it happening so fast? This is because now they're beginning to understand more from the hidden archives of past knowledge about the bending of light. Anything, and I mean anything that can be imagined by the human mind, can be turned into reality when you understand thought, the creational process, and the holographic nature of reality. That is why everyone is kept very busy, kept a slave from the start of life until reaching school, where they teach you nothing but time-wasting crap and how to be a money slave. Then enter the life where you're kept so busy and run down with work, with red tape and useless laws that crushes your creational forces. Introduced to a life of hard labor, taxes, sickness, and very importantly, not living in the moment, but always planning that things will be done sometime in the future, which is non-existent as yet. The super elite rich, perched high in the pyramid, can do both. They can live in the moment because they can afford to do so. Their life is always exciting and always in the moment. The poor, the 99.9%, are wasting time in the moment, planning for a future event like traveling or a fishing trip. It's always in the future. What I'm saying here is that they can do anything spontaneously because they have the funds created out of thin air with our sweat and labor. This is the association of time with money and the value we have given to a piece of paper with digits. Once you release, there is no time, no space, no past or future, and everything that is happening at the moment of now. You will go crazy at what this elite have done to the human race. The 3D world we see in front of our eyes is manifesting at that one moment. Even though everything is an illusion, it's all that we have for now, and it sure does feel real. A good illusionist will make you feel that indeed the illusion performed is real. Some people will tell you to disconnect from the illusion, but you cannot, and if you try, you will get very depressed trying. What you can do is make changes to the illusion and make it more comfortable for everyone by complying with universal law and using it to your advantage on a personal level without hurting and enslaving others who are here to explore and play with physical reality just like you are. The elite have rigged the game to benefit themselves and in return benefit a group egregore thought forms. The problem with these controlling satanic elite is that they don't want to lose their power of control. Instead of waking up the populace, they're dumbing them down. We can all live in harmony together. There is enough space, enough resources, and enough wealth. So why don't they want this harmony? They do it for themselves, with you excluded and the remaining population as their minion slaves. But for this to happen, the total destruction, apocalyptic nature must occur. Whoever survives these destructive cullings will be enslaved. Watch a movie called THX. That is their goal for the human race. They are now sterilizing the males. That is why shares in companies like Genea are skyrocketing. These companies are charging a fortune to help women have children. How thoughtful of them. First they sterilize them, then charge them to conceive. In the future, they want to control all births. No sex or reproduction. It'll all be done in a laboratory. The elite cabal bloodlines running the globe are nothing but a mafia-run organized crime syndicate dressed in monkey suits to give the illusion of power and importance. It's all a charade. They themselves have been manipulated, mind-controlled, and inbred long ago, nurturing the reptilian side of the brain, which now they are deprived of empathy. Their crimes against humanity are so transparent now. You see, once you have the all-seeing eye, your awareness levels will have the power to see through everything. No one can deceive you. Remember, the elite cabal only represents 0.001% of the population. So you must realize then that you're the problem, and you're the one helping and holding up this hideous false reality. The time has now come. No more being a spineless jellyfish. Come on, lions, grow your manes back. Lionesses, take the lion's side. No more division.
Where did you come from?
You stripped off my disguise. At last you see me as I really am. And now you must die so that I can live.
You can't hurt me. You're part of me.
The bad part, yes. You fed me, nourished me, made me strong so that now I can destroy you.
No, I won't let you. I'm stronger than you are. And I'm never going to be like you.
How do you know? How do you know?
I'm not afraid of you.
No! Get back!
I can't feel any fear now. And you can't face me, can you?
Let me alone! Don't come any closer! I'm growing weaker. Weaker! No! No!